million riders saw our climate care messaging on metro buses and trains, and 39 million Americans accessed our C-SPAN Climate Justice Symposium. All told, our 2024 climate justice campaign exceeded 471 million total impressions. KBLA Talk 1580 thanks all of our 2024 climate justice partners: LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, Sierra Club, California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, LA City Council member Curran D. Price Jr., the California Wellness Foundation, MWD, AQMD, and the Port of Los Angeles. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Holding on is very hard to do when love's gone, and that's no lie. Holding on is very hard to do when love's gone. Yeah. I bet you're unhappy. I know you gotta be. Can drive you out your mind. There ain't no sense in crying. It's time for you to leave. And baby, that's the bottom line. Oh, I bet you lie awake nights, never rest a bit, and wish it all would disappear. Yeah, but still the bottom line is to deal with it and see yourself at least be fair. Instead of holding on, it's very hard to do when love's gone, and that's no lie. Holding on is very hard to do when love's gone. Yeah.
Jeffrey Osborne sounding good. I could let that ride for a minute if this weren't a talk radio station. Sounds so good. I hate to step on him. But we are in the third and final hour of our program today, and as promised, we had an amazing second hour, motivating you to make the most of this year, to be human and to see human and to free human, to be curious this year. We talked about being a better human being. I love that last part. I see our socials blowing up. Everybody loved that story he told about killing the spider. It's not just about cleaning out the cobwebs in our lives this year. It's about killing the spider. Powerful, powerful story. What a great hour. And another hour in front of us, as promised, to help get your mind right, as it were, for the year. Chloe Louvoiseau is our guest in this hour, author, storyteller, producer. Pleased to have her back on this program to share insights about how we can heal and redefine the stories of our lives in this year. Chloe, it's been a while. Good to hear your voice. Happy New Year. How are you?
Happy New Year to you too. I'm doing really well. Thank you. It's good to be on the show.
It's great to have you back on. Let me start with this. I was thinking last night and again this morning, in fact, preparing for today's show and these 2 hours of last 2 hours of motivation. And I was thinking specifically about you in this hour because it seems strange to be talking about healing when the year has started out with such violence already. And this is nothing new to 2025, sadly. There's far too much violence in this country, but I'm thinking now of the bloodshed in New Orleans and Las Vegas. It was just arresting for so many of us to see that happen literally on the first day of the year. I'm looking back on last year at all the mass shootings, the school shootings, et cetera, et cetera. We live in a very violent world, and we live in a very violent American society. And I'm trying to juxtapose that reality with a conversation about healing, and I'm not even sure where to begin. Does that make sense to you?
It absolutely does. Listen, it is a time right now, and we've been in tough, contentious, ambiguous times before. We've not only, seen our future president in office, but we've also just seen the result of violence in the country, quite frankly, since the beginning of history. But I do think what we're, bracing for in the coming weeks and what we've, experienced in the last week, it feels different. It feels like, the irony is just 3 years ago today, January 6th, I live in Washington, D.C. And so, when I think of the anxiousness around violence in the country, And I think about just remembering the energy was palpable. And so I think, based on everything that's happening in our cities, New Orleans, Vegas, hopefully, prayerfully, not in DC again, but other places where safety is threatened. There's also psychological violence that happens. And so, I think we have to take care of ourselves and our lives, our livelihoods, our well-being, because that's what's on the line right now.
Yeah. What say you? I want to go back to your book, Life, I Swear. I'll do that in just a second here. But since we're on this subject, I want to stay here for a second. What say you about how our souls, how our spirits best navigate a year where we are going to be confronted with violence? And I'm so glad you took the moment that you did to define violence in a variety of ways. We're going to get a lot of verbal violence this year. We're going to get, it's not just physical violence, it's verbal violence, it's psychological violence. Trump is back. We talked in our prior hour about humanity and how, how we never come into the fullness of our own humanity if we can't respect and revel in the humanity of everybody else. And we know already that over the next 4 years, there's going to be a lot of demeaning, derogatory, dismissive, disenfranchising talk about a lot of fellow citizens, and people are going to feel treated. They're going to feel like they're being treated violently by the way they're being talked to, the way they're being talked about. Say nothing of what actually happens to people who are subjected to physical violence. So when we come forward, I want to ask Chloe how it is that our souls, our spirits, can be shored up to navigate a year, sadly, that's going to be violent in a variety of ways. You can define that any way you want. It's going to be a violent year. I hate to predict that, but it ain't a bold prediction. It's on the horizon already. What say we to our souls and our spirits about how to navigate a year that's going to be fraught with violence, physical, verbal, and beyond? You're listening to Chloe Louvezo on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and switch to the expensive shampoo with amino acids. Sure, you don't know what those are or why you need them, but it sounds very impressive. And if you switch and save hundreds, you can massage it into your scalp every day. Now, if only you can get people to lean toward your head to smell those aminos. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shampoo. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Ever have one of those days where your gut just feels blah?
Ugh, yes.
Occasional bloating or gas could be signs that your gut is out of balance, but Align Probiotic can help. Align 24/7 Digestive Support is a daily use probiotic with a unique strain to help relieve occasional digestive issues. It's the #1 doctor-recommended brand. So when you feel the signs, it's time to try Align. Align Probiotic. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Want to play a game with me and Dad?
Mommy's not feeling good.
You need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with Dayquil VapoCool. It's Dayquil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
Come on, honey. Let's let Mommy rest.
You guys are amazing. And so is Dayquil VapoCool.
Dayquil VapoCool, the vaporizing daytime coughing, aching, fever, power through your day medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with author, storyteller, and producer Chloe Louvrezzo. Pleased to have her back on this program. She wrote a book a few years ago called Life, I Swear. Love the title. Life, I Swear. We'll tap back into that text in a moment here and move forward from there. But we started this conversation moments ago talking about the way that this year started. All the violence in New Orleans and Las Vegas. I want to ask Chloe how it is that she suggests that we protect our souls, protect our spirits this year from the violence that we are going to be subjected to. And again, it's not going to just be physical violence, sadly. That is the nation that we live in. But I'm just concerned, and it's already started. Nobody's surprised by this. But there going to be so many people taking it on the chin, taking it in the heart, in the soul, in the spirit this year, with the way that they're going to be maltreated verbally from the White House on down. There'll be a lot of violence this year. Chloe, what say you about how we prep ourselves for that?
Yeah, well, I think that, we're kind of, for Black and brown folks, we are living in a world that is really making bets on the sustainability of these bad politics and kind of soulless transactions that systems have. And we really have to dig our feet in our soil. Yeah. We have to seek, and we have to deliver on promises to ourselves to remain steady, to remain focused on our personal and collective liberation. I think that, we are actually well positioned to take care of ourselves. And it may not seem that way. The times that we're in are very daunting. But I truly believe that, I don't see this as doomsday by any means. We will get through this because we can, because we have, because that is what we do innately. And I think that if we can root ourselves in history and what we've already overcome, it's so much easier to see a promise at the end, and to keep our resilience as our sharpest reference in times like these. And I was talking yesterday to someone from your station, and we were talking about hope in these times. Mm-hmm. And hope is possible when you've been through things before, and that shows up, whether it's politically or personally. Yeah. But that is how faith is born and how it anchors us. And I think we really need to rely on that in the next, who's to say, weeks, months, years ahead of us.
Yep. Put a pin in that. I want to come back to this notion of hope. We can unpack that a little bit later, I promise. We'll get back to the notion of hope. But you've said a couple of things now that I want to give you a chance to unpack for me. I'm fascinated by the phrase personal liberation, and that we are well positioned to navigate through this moment. We'll come back to well positioned in a moment. But when you use the phrase like personal liberation, it jumps out at me. What unpack that for me? Personal liberation.
Yeah, I think for me, personal liberation is it's when we are able to ground ourselves in healing. Healing looks like listening to ourselves, listening to our bodies. I talk about the nervous system a lot, but it's quite truly the antennas that our bodies use to translate what is good for our spirit and what feels safe. And in that safety, I think that's where we find personal liberation, because we can be ourselves. We can be without quantifying the outcomes of what we produce. And so we can be celebrated. We can be valued within that. And, I think it's really honoring and providing what we need to ourselves to feel those things. I think I often attach we are accountable to our own personal liberation too. Mm-hmm. And so I think of personal liberation as something that we all have access to. When it can feel like societal liberation feels inaccessible at times.
Mm-hmm. Nope. When you say then that even in a moment like this, we are well positioned to navigate through this, what makes you so confident that as Americans, as fellow citizens, we are well positioned to navigate through this period, whatever it's going to bring?
Because I think for me, there's so much that we have done on the front lines, and we've been exhausted by, mm-hmm. Which is kind of what I'm hearing, you say that can give us some doubt around that optimism. But I do think that, when we revert back to community, when we go inward in taking care of ourselves, whether it's our block, our family, our wards in our cities, taking care of ourselves is something that I know when, a lot of, after the presidential loss that we experienced in the fall, that's kind of what a lot of us are resorting to survive the next chapter of this country, and kind of going inward and taking care of ourselves and thriving within the bubbles and the microcosms that we're creating for ourselves.
See, that circles me back to this notion of hope that I promised we'd get back to. So let me go right at it. One could argue, indeed I will argue, just to make a point, that we are in this situation right now politically with Donald Trump being certified as the next president of these United States today. We discussed in our first hour how difficult it must be for one Kamala Harris to be overseeing the certification of the guy who beat her. That's not an easy task, and yet that is her role today, to certify Donald J. Trump as the next president of these United States. And Connie Rice, one of our earlier guests, pushed back on me when I made the point that this is a certain kind of indignity that I wouldn't wish on my worst mm-hmm. enemy. And Connie said, I see it differently, Tavis. This is not an indignity for Kamala Harris. It is a moment of high dignity. It's a moment for her to say mm-hmm. to the country and to the world, this is how it ought to be done. January 6th was not the way to handle it, the way y'all did it, but we're going to show you how it ought to be done. So it's a moment of high dignity and honor for Kamala to have the opportunity to show again the world that we know how to do this, and this is the way that this business ought to be handled. The peaceful transfer of power. But the point I'm pressing toward is that one could argue, Chloe, that because of so many millions of Americans feeling a sense of hopelessness, we find ourselves in this situation with them having voted for Donald Trump. And now you got a bunch of other Americans, to the point you raised a moment ago, who are feeling a different kind of hopelessness that he's back on the scene. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I know how to parse that, but I think there's a sense mm-hmm. of hopelessness that's gripped all of us, no matter where we are on mm-hmm. the political spectrum. If that makes sense to you,
it does. It does make sense, and I think that the reactions that the very diverse reactions that we're all having are very human reactions. There's a lot of We've experienced a lot of trauma in the last how many years it's been 8 years. Yeah. Years since he first ran and won. And I think for me it's how are we going to cope with it? May not be hope, but it may be cope mm-hmm. with the next 4 years. And I think for everybody that looks a little different. But when I think of hope, it's speaking into existence that we are resilient people. And I'm speaking to, one could say the country, but I am particularly speaking to Black women and Black people who have felt kind of the world our world shake up a little bit. So we just have to anchor in who we know we are versus anchoring in what they tell us we should be scared of. And for that, I'm hopeful that we will continue to have a really strong drumbeat of like collective love of self, despite how much more we're being kind of pushed to be shaken up.
Yeah. I could ask you, and perhaps I will as we move through this hour, what healing and identity and self-trust, what all that looks like for all of Black America, to the point you made a moment ago. But I am particularly interested in your take on those things vis-a-vis Black women. When you think about Kamala Harris and all that sisters did to get behind her and all the hopes and dreams and aspirations that were cast upon her, this could have been a historic moment. And it was historic in that she had a chance to run as the nominee of the party. It didn't turn out, didn't end the way that many had hoped it would end. But indeed, Black women have got to be considered in this conversation, specifically as it relates to their healing around this particular issue and more. But just say a word to me about the condition, the state of Black women and how they navigate as you see it through this period.
I think, in today's climate, Black women are really looking for spaces that provide solace and community care. And unfortunately, the country has really shown us where it stands. And so those places can only be found in more insular community, I'd say. In the past 4 years, but absolutely in the last few months, many of us who once poured ourselves into improving social systems and getting people out to vote, in improving, infrastructures that would benefit us but have kind of disappointed us. We've since opted to pour that same energy into the well-being of ourselves. I think a lot of Black women are like, look, after the elections, I don't owe anyone anything, especially no longer feel like I do. And I'm going to take care of me and mine. And so I think we're following through what we've always knew, but we might have put on the back burner before, but what we didn't give or get permission to put into practice, which is that in order to do our best, to show up our best, our mental and emotional health need to be nurtured. And we're approaching it, I believe, from a more unapologetic place. And in order to show up as our best in any space or room we enter, most of us need to feel a sense of ownership over our work and our worth in ways that the Kamala's loss kind of tried to juxtapose against that. And so, sometimes it can feel nearly impossible for Black women to experience a world where this kind of ownership is possible alongside the rhetoric that really insults our value. But I do believe that, when I speak of self-trust, for me, what that means is really trusting our own discernment, those quiet pushes of intuitive knowing. It's trusting our perspectives that are pulled from, the wisdom we've collected over our lives that oftentimes we have to defend or prove. But using what we know intuitively as our guideposts. And so to me, self-trust is about honoring what we already know without relying on validation of, who voted for who or didn't vote for who, or who's signing off on our value. And I think that Black women are and my hope is that Black women really, we all really do that for each other.
I love this phrase, trusting our own discernment. And that's not just a challenge for Black women. It's a challenge for Black people, or frankly, a challenge for all humans, to learn how to trust their own discernment. A lot easier said than done. What have you learned about the path to doing that, trusting your own discernment? So many of us just don't trust ourselves.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's for me, I wrote a book about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, it's I want us to self-trust comes in really knowing and honoring our stories and reframing them, and knowing we have the power, the autonomy to reframe our stories. Oftentimes we don't have narratives that are available, accessible to us, that paints us as Black women, but individually as well, in positive lights, and we begin to believe those narratives. And so self-trust, and really to me, is taking the reins back, reframing our stories in a way that that really celebrates who we are and what we have to offer. And then from there, we can trust that, we can love that, we can nurture that, and we can allow that intuitive power that we have to guide us.
I want to talk about, when we come forward, what it means to reframe and redefine our personal narrative, what it means to reframe and redefine our personal stories, the stories of our lives as we move through this year. We'll do that with our guest, Chloe Luvuezo, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted a walk-up with central air and a skylight, and you found it. Now, every Friday night, you get to fall asleep to the sound of your downstairs neighbors' dance parties. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Several eastern states, including Kansas, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Virginia, have declared a state of emergency due to an impending major winter storm. Southern states like Florida and Mississippi are also warning of dangerous cold. President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden will visit New Orleans today to meet with the families of the New Orleans Bourbon Street attack victims. The attack by an apparent ISIS sympathizer killed 14 and injured dozens. Congestion pricing in New York City is moving forward after a judge approved the $9 toll for driving into Manhattan south of 60th Street. New Jersey's objections were overruled. And LeBron James now has more 30-point games than Michael Jordan with 563 games. He surpassed Jordan's record in the Lakers' 119-102 win over the Atlanta Hawks. Jordan set the previous record in 2003 with the Washington Wizards. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Lowe's knows how to save you time and money. Order what you need by 2 p.m. to get it delivered same day. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes for same-day delivery. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NFL playoffs are set. The Chargers and Rams are in the wild card round. The Chargers will play at Houston on Saturday. The Rams will be at home next Monday night against Minnesota. Magic Johnson's NFL team, the Washington Commanders, will play at Tampa Bay Sunday night. First playoff appearance for the Commanders franchise in 5 years. The Commanders' 12-5 record represents their highest win total since 1991. It was a big weekend for Magic. On Saturday, Magic was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom Award at the White House by President Biden. The Lakers lost at Houston last night, 119 to 115. The Clippers are at Minnesota tonight. USC's women's basketball team got a 50-point win Sunday at Rutgers, 23 points, 14 rebounds, and 3 steals for USC star Juju Watkins. The Trojans are 14-1, 4-0 in the Big Ten Conference. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like the style, dog? Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online.
Uh-huh.
I read that 3 out of 4 adults in the United States have a high risk factor for severe COVID-19. And black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Yeah, y'all, come on. Here come the drums.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Chloe Louvoiseau. Honored to have her on this program. Author, storyteller, producer. She had a powerful book that came out a few years ago called Life, I Swear. Love the title, Life, I Swear. We're kind of weaving in and out of that, even though I haven't set that frame formally as in this conversation. We're weaving in and out of the text anyway, so that's how these things work out. But you said something a moment ago that I want to come right to immediately here, and that is this notion that we have the opportunity, given that we've been blessed to make it into 2025. Everybody didn't make it, but for those of us who are alive and remain, we are here. And for those who are tapped into this program right about now, we have the opportunity in this year to reframe, to redefine our personal narratives. I was just in conversation with somebody yesterday, and I was making the point to them that it's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. Not what they call you, but what you answer to. We have the right, we have the agency, we have the wherewithal to reframe and redefine our personal narratives right now in this year. And so if you don't like the story that's being written about you, if you don't like the narrative structure that you find yourself in, you have a chance to reframe it and redefine it even right now. That's all I need to say to Chloe. She'll take it and run with it. Watch how this works. So Chloe, talk to me about reframing and redefining our own stories in this moment.
Yeah, I think, it is what you answer to. And I think we all have the opportunity to revisit the stories we've been told that we have regurgitated and rewrite them from a place of grace and strength and information. And, so many of us have spent whole lives compromising our boundaries, questioning our voices, and existing in kind of this in-between at the discretion of others whose interests have never been on our side. And so the reframing, redefining is really taking the wheel back and to reclaim kind of authority over our lives. We have to do this. It's a practice. It's an exercise. We have to do this. And because the narratives we reference when we think about highly inform how much we believe in ourselves. And because the world will, and it has, tried to test our belief in our own value, especially for Black women, we cannot. And so for me, reframing our stories is kind of like the analogy, a metaphor I like to think about is like arm swiping the table. It is, for me, I think about, we all carry a big purse full of junk in it. Sometimes there's pennies you don't need, receipts you don't need, things from old credit cards. It's dumping it all on the table, identifying what is a lie, what was birthed from trauma, what are stories we generationally inherited about who we are or are supposed to be, and then it's taking inventory and hand-picking the pieces that serve the greater version of ourselves. What is serving me? What do I want to carry into the next season of my life? And what has been unhealthily cyclical? And so, those questions that we ask as we're like metaphorically picking the things that really do work for our growth and our expansion, that requires some provoking, some self-examination that can get uncomfortable. But when we do that exercise of reframing and redefining, we are requiring people to meet us at the higher level that we are versus answering to what they call us.
Yeah. You've said a number of things in this conversation that I'll be holding on to and marinating on beyond the conversation. No surprise. Chloe always does that when she shows up. But there's a particular phrase you used maybe 20, 21 minutes ago that I've been noodling since you said it, even as I've been guiding the conversation forward. In the back of my mind, I'm listening to you, but I'm hearing in the back of my mind, I'm wrestling with this term, soulless transactions. It's a powerful phrase that you used earlier, soulless transactions. And when you use that phrase, it jumped out at me, and you used that phrase to indict systems, structures, and indeed institutions. That was your point. Systems, structures, and institutions that too often engage in soulless transactions. But I think you see where I'm going. It's not just systems and structures and institutions. It's everyday people. Too often we find ourselves engaged in what you termed soulless transactions. My question is, how do we arrest that behavior this year?
Ooh, well, I like the term arrest the behavior. So I'll be using that. But, I think soulless transactions, and kind of it is what it sounds like. But I think that we really need to hold ourselves accountable to not engage in them. We're talking people to people. Yeah. We are gatekeepers of our the world that we're creating for ourselves in our little corner of the world. We are gatekeepers of that. And so I think of the bridge. Like, are we inviting people to across the bridge to make the transactions, or are we telling them to, keep their distance? And I think that, if there's anything I have personally learned, boundaries is one of the most healthy things we can do ourselves, and especially when we know what is the most nourishing kind of transaction to engage in, we are able to then recognize those soulless transactions quicker and keep them at bay.
Yeah. Another phrase you used earlier that I want to interrogate right quick here, and that is this notion you were talking specifically about black women, but again, this is more than just black women. It's true for Tavis and anybody else listening who happens not to be a black woman, and that is this year being committed to owning our work and our worth, taking ownership over our work and our worth. Again, something that's easier said than done. What have you learned? What did you write about in Life I Swear that you can share with us about taking ownership of our work and our worth?
Yeah. And I think the two are often, are often connected, not always, but often connected because, I think most people's greatest desire is for their work to be a reflection of who they are as they show in the world. And so when we allow our value or our story to be negotiable, there's a fragility in how we show up and how we contribute to the world. And so that's where that comes in for me. But yeah, I released my book, Life I Swear, in 2021. It's part memoir and also an anthology of essays from 26 other Black women on identity, healing, and self-trust, which we've touched on. But my intention for the book, I really wanted to create kind of an archive of self-discovery that allowed space for us to document our evolution through our healing. And I wanted a book to feel kind of like I call it a communal hug, an invitation to come back to ourselves, because that was how many years ago? That was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
In 2021.
Almost 4 now. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. On the heels of the pandemic, we needed that then. We continue to always, and I've had Black men, I've had white women, I've had everyone in between kind of also share that the book resonated with them because it explores aspects of life that are foundational and necessary for our growth, no matter who you are. But it was important for me to center women from the Black diaspora, but who you are, identity, how you're healing, how you are present enough to trust yourself. To me, those are anchors to serving ourselves well and feeding ourselves before we try to feed everyone else, which Black women often are put in positions to do. And so the book challenges readers to rewrite the script and to place rest, grace, and expression at the center of their healing.
Yeah. When we come forward, I want to talk about how we get on the good foot, or as Miles, my board op, says, get on the good feet. Not just one foot, get on the good feet. When it comes to living joyful lives. We've been talking in this hour about healing, but and it seems to me that if healing is about anything, it's about putting us on the path to living joyful lives. I had the honor, it was difficult, but I had the honor of speaking, of eulogizing a colleague just a couple of weeks ago here in L.A. For those in L.A., for that matter, all around the country. This made national news. We lost a colleague here, Chloe, named Robin Ayers, had just turned 45, a Black woman, speaking of Black women, and a shock to all of us. She passed away at the age of 45, and I was asked by the family to speak at her funeral here in L.A. just a couple weeks ago. I talked about the fact that there were many things about Robin that I appreciated and I was going to miss. But the thing I admired most about her was how she had found in just a few short years on this human stage, how she discovered what it meant to live a joyful life. I can't say that about all my friends, about all my family members even. But there's something to figuring out how to live a joyful life. When we come forward, I'll tell you just a bit about what I said at the service, and I really want to probe Chloe on this notion of living joyful lives. We'll do that when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From California to the Carolinas,
everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have a full tank of gas first before road tripping through the desert.
Empty? Seriously? Maybe I can walk.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Maybe I can't.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Welcome to Staples.
I am so pumped. My business is going to kill it this year.
Awesome. How can I help?
First, a new computer.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing, too.
And,
a new chair?
A chair? Who has time to sit?
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project.
Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
This is for all the folks who appreciate follow-through. Here's a quick recap of the KBLA Talk 1580 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. More than 6.4 million Southern Californians viewed our climate justice billboards and bus shelters. Another 1.5 million people listened to and or downloaded our weekly conversations with African American climate experts. Our KBLA Climate Justice web portal had 2.8 million unique visitors. Thousands more attended our 7 climate justice community events. More than 9.3 million riders saw our climate care messaging on metro buses and trains. And 39 million Americans accessed our C-SPAN Climate Justice Symposium. All told, our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign exceeded 471 million total impressions. KBLA Talk 1580 thanks all of our 2024 Climate Justice partners: LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, Sierra Club, California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, LA City Council member Curran D. Price Jr., the California Wellness Foundation, MWD, AQMD, and the Port of Los Angeles. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580. 1580. Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
So, Chloe, I said at Robin's funeral that the thing I most admired about her was in just 45 short years of living, she had discovered the key thing for me, and that is how to live a joyful life. And speaker after speaker talked about how gracious she was and how she spent time with family and friends and colleagues, helping them in their own projects. And what I said in my talk, watching my time here, is that joy is distinctly different from happiness. Happiness is fleeting. It comes and goes. And so often happiness is really connected to our own human achievements. But joy is a very different thing. To my mind, joy is found in loving and serving others. That's where the joy is, in loving and serving others. Dr. King once asked this question, made this statement, in fact. King would often say that life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? So I opined that if one would live a joyful life like Robin did, one has to find himself or herself in a healing process that allows them then to love and serve other people. That's how I saw it. How do you see this notion of living a joyful life and the value of healing, putting us on the path to do that, in fact?
I love that. What I've learned in my own joy journey, I should say, is that, once you unlock your healing, you unlock your joy. You do this in one corner of your life. It's possible, and you have all reason to believe it's possible to do elsewhere too. And that's why I really center healing, because you really appreciate joy when you have perspective of how much joy can be threatened, given everything we've discussed today.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, joy is sharing your healing self, because I don't believe in healed, but sharing your healing self with others.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really sharing, the version of yourself that is regenerative and generous. And I would love to see more of us intersect our wildest dreams with the life we're currently living, and that is joy.
Yeah.
And I imagine how much bigger we could dream and how much further we could go in realizing them if we, to me, a prerequisite to joy is healing, because otherwise, it kind of defaults to that state of conditional happiness that you described.
I heard Chloe loud and clear, as did you a moment ago, when she made that distinction between healed and healing. She doesn't use the word healed. I think I get it, but I'll let her unpack that in our remaining moments when we come forward with Chloe Louvoiseau on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
Welcome to Staples.
I am so pumped. My business is going to kill it this year.
Awesome. How can I help?
First, a new computer.
With Staples home and office hot deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing, too.
And,
a new chair?
A chair? Who has time to sit?
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have a full tank of gas first before road tripping through the desert.
Empty? Seriously? Maybe I can walk.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Maybe I can't.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Before I give Chloe the last word here, it's my duty to tell you before I leave the air that it is official. Congress has, in fact, certified Donald Trump's election victory. Vice President Kamala Harris had the duty of announcing President-elect Donald Trump's win in a ritual on Capitol Hill. So it is official. Congress has, in fact, certified Donald Trump's election victory. There you have it. No surprises, but it is the news of the hour. In the 2 minutes I have left, I will yield it to Chloe Louvoiseau to share with us why she uses the word healing and not healed?
And I'm really glad you asked that, because we're not just talking about healing things of childhood trauma that is often, our reference point as we think about healing. And we're not just thinking about wounds that we're trying to repair from the past. We're also talking about healing in a very omnipresent place. It's a mindset that requires us to be really cognizant in how we show up in relation to ourselves and other people. And it's present. So behaviors that are ingrained so deeply in us by patterns. It's triggers we have, not just from the long ago past, but also in recent seasons of our lives. I think about experiencing, traumatic events on a daily basis. That they are recurring in our lives, in our present lives, especially in the landscape that we live in the U.S. And so when those triggers happen repeatedly and in micro doses, there's no way to describe it as healed, because we are constantly working on our relationship with those daily traumas.
Yeah. I have enjoyed this conversation immensely about healing with Chloe Luizo. We've been talking about healing for the better part of this hour. And I think the takeaway from this conversation is that you have the power to reframe, to redefine your personal narrative this year. You have the power to reframe and redefine your story in this year. And I hope you will use the agency that you have to do just that. Chloe, always a delight to be in conversation with you. Thank you for the book. Life, I Swear is the name of the text that Chloe shares a great deal more in, and there are other essays, some other black women that you'll want to read. Once again, it's called Life, I Swear. The author is Chloe Luizo. Chloe, Happy New Year to you once again. Thank you for the time, and all the best to you.
Happy New Year to you too, Tavis. Talk soon.
Thank you. Talk soon. Thank you for your time. Just like that, 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in, and as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Several eastern states, including Kansas, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Virginia, have declared a state of emergency due to an impending major winter storm. Southern states like Florida and Mississippi are also warning of dangerous cold. President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden will visit New Orleans today to meet with the families of the New Orleans Bourbon Street attack victims. The attack by an apparent ISIS sympathizer killed 14 and injured dozens. Congestion pricing in New York City is moving forward after a judge approved the $9 toll for driving into Manhattan south of 60th Street. New Jersey's objections were overruled. And LeBron James now has more 30-point games than Michael Jordan with 563 games. He surpassed Jordan's record in the Lakers' 119-102 win over the Atlanta Hawks. Jordan set the previous record in 2003 with the Washington Wizards. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Lowe's knows how to save you time and money. Order what you need by 2 p.m. to get it delivered same day. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes for same-day delivery. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NFL playoffs are set. The Chargers and Rams are in the wild card round. The Chargers will play at Houston on Saturday. The Rams will be at home next Monday night against Minnesota. Magic Johnson's NFL team, the Washington Commanders, will play at Tampa Bay Sunday night. First playoff appearance for the Commanders franchise in 5 years. The Commanders' 12-5 record represents their highest win total since 1991. It was a big weekend for Magic. On Saturday, Magic was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom Award at the White House by President Biden. The Lakers lost at Houston last night, 119-115. The Clippers are at Minnesota tonight. USC's women's basketball team got a 50-point win Sunday at Rutgers, 23 points, 14 rebounds, and 3 steals for USC star Juju Watkins. The Trojans are 14-1, 4-0 in the Big Ten Conference. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Here they come, y'all. Here they come. Here they come, y'all.
y'all, here they come.
Get out the way. Ooh.
First things first with Dominique DePrima at 6 a.m. Tavis Smiley at 9 a.m. Truth Time with Dr. Cornell West and Nina Turner at 12 noon. Here they come, y'all. Here they come. Here they come, y'all. Here they come.
Get out the way. Get out the way. Get out the way.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show at 1 p.m. The D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show at 2 p.m. A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nee Quarterly Quartet at 4 p.m. Here they come, y'all. Here they come. Here they come, y'all. Here they come.
Get out the way. Get out the way. Get out the way.
Tune in weekdays from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the Talk of the Town. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. Here they come, y'all. Here they come.
What is the world coming to? Seems like everyone is running from the truth. We need to stand up and fight. Walk into the light. We're the people. We can do it if we try.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Truth Talk with the one and only Dr. Cornell West and Nina Turner. Well, we're doing Truth Talk on Truth Time with Dr. Cornell West and Nina Turner, our debut show. We are so happy that you are here with us today. And Dr. West and I, we will be talking about so many magnanimous